While I created my latest painting featuring a gorgeous kitsune, I couldn't help but get curious about kitsune and Japanese mythology. I only knew the basics, like everyone else. Mischievous fox spirits, right? But what is the true story behind these legendary creatures? It turns out that these clever foxes have been roaming the world of Japanese folklore for centuries. And every tale offers a small window into Japan's extraordinary blend of mythology and spirituality. How fascinating! Therefore, in this video, I'm going to tell you what I learned about Kitsune Legends and medieval Japan, while I show you how I created my latest painting inspired by this topic. Over the years, I developed my watercolor and mixed media technique in such a way that I can now depict almost anything with it. And I use it to explore and paint my favorite topics, which is art history, ancient history, and mythology. I'm thrilled to be able to create these artworks and share their stories with you. I hope you find the topic of kitsune and life in medieval Japan as captivating as I do, because these mythological creatures have such a rich history and incredible legends surrounding them. While the finished painting did end up as I imagined, it was no walk in the park. I had to overcome a few challenges, like redoing the whole underdrawing. Thankfully, I was able to print it out instead of starting from scratch, and let me tell you, I was very grateful for that. If you're curious about the process and want to learn more about how I painted each element of this intricate piece, head over to my Patreon page. There you will find the full process along with progress photos, materials, reference photos, and access to over 200 tutorials on my mixed media techniques, like my most recent tutorial where I explain how to overcome blotchy watercolor areas or how you can apply a beautiful hatching technique to your portraits. By the way, if you like to bring a bit of kitsune magic home, you can now get a beautiful archival fine art print of my painting Kitsune no Yume, which translates to Fox Bride. Each of these beautiful fine art reproductions is printed on the highest quality cotton rag paper with archival inks, achieving incredibly vibrant colors and an impressive level of detail. And you can find a link to these in the video description. Now, diving deeper into the context of my painting's theme, let's explore the Heian period, Japan's golden age, around 794 to 1184 AD. This era marked a cultural and artistic renaissance in Japan, giving rise to the Japanese writing system and the samurai class, as well as the captivating legend of tamamunumai, a famous kitsune. This well-known kitsune tale from traditional folklore is about a fox goddess who masqueraded as a concubine at the Japanese imperial court. The legend tells the story of a charming court lady whose beauty and grace were unparalleled. But behind her seductive appearance hid a dark secret, and she was actually a nine-tailed fox spirit who wanted to poison the emperor. Thus, a group of brave warriors were tasked with taking her down and restoring the emperor's honor. Imagine the emperor had slept with a fox spirit all that time. The chase took the warriors through countless dangers and trials, while the kitsune used her magical abilities to escape and lead them astray. Finally, the warriors were able to push tamamunumai back into her fox form and kill her. The legend is a mix of romance, intrigue, and heroism that reflects the belief in spirits and supernatural beings of ancient Japan. It also sheds light on the role of women in court culture and the ever-present concern of seduction and deception in a world filled with enigma and political schemes. Taking a closer look at this period, we can see just how influential women were in the Heian court. During that era, the influence of court women and noblewomen was substantial, as they held key positions in the aristocratic society. Heian women were often educated in the arts and literature, which enabled them to participate in the rich cultural life of the imperial court. Among them were notable female authors such as Murasaki Shikibu, who penned The Tale of Genji, considered the world's first novel, and Sai Shonagon, the author of the world-famous Pillow Book. But don't be mistaken, the life at court was far from easy, and these two authors in particular were fierce rivals, engaging in a constant battle of wits and artistic prowess. Amidst all the artistic fame and influence these women enjoyed, they were still bound by the societal norms and restrictions of the Heian period. Often confined to their living quarters, known as okus or the inner chambers, they were shielded from the public eye. Their marriages were arranged to force strategic alliances, and polygamy was a common practice among the nobility. In contrast to the societal norms and restrictions faced by women in the Heian period, the broader cultural landscape of Japan during this time was one of growth and creativity. Concurrently, as Europe went through the early Middle Ages and Christianity started to spread, Japan enjoyed a period of peace and artistic flourishing. This era saw the creation of significant artworks that would come to define the nation's cultural heritage. Pioneering artists such as Kosei Kanaoka, the founder of the Kosei school of painting, or Ono no Michikaze, an esteemed calligrapher of the Heian period. Amidst this artistic renaissance, it's important to note that the Heian period was also marked by a rigid caste system that was only abolished over 1,000 years later in 1871. People were not free to choose their profession, especially not women, but were determined by social class and family traditions. The aristocracy enjoyed privileges, while peasants and artisans belonged to lower ranks. If you were so unlucky even to be part of the Burakumin caste, you weren't even allowed to create art. Shockingly, the descendants of the Burakumin still face discrimination in modern-day Japan. Maybe because of this strong caste system, the people of the Heian era looked for solace and comfort in nature and supernatural beliefs such as yokai, kami, and hanyu, spiritual and mythical creatures that could be both benign and malevolent. In ancient Japan, the world of fox spirits was always present. Some of these mythical creatures, known as kitsune, were capable of taking on both humanoid and animal forms, with their powers growing stronger through age or prolonged interaction with humans. All kitsune have two fox tails. The most powerful of them are the kyubi, or nine-tailed fox kitsune, like tamamunumai from the story I told you earlier. Kitsune are divided into two types: the zenko, kind and good nature towards human, and the no kitsune, angry and seeking harm. Known for their shape-shifting abilities, often imitating young and attractive people to deceive their victims, their magic was so potent that some could even hex or possess humans with black magic, causing them to behave like foxes. Interestingly, the origins of the kitsune myth might actually trace back to China, where similar fox spirits and demons were known to exist. It's fascinating to think about the connections between these ancient cultures and how these kitsune legends evolved over time, reflecting the changes in Japanese society. For instance, during the Kamakura period, 1185 till 1333 AD, when Japan was going through political upheaval, the rise of the samurai class, and the influence of Zen Buddhism, the story of Kusunoha, a mystical fox spirit woman, emerged. This period was a stark contrast to the refined courtly culture of the Heian era, as there were a growing emphasis on martial arts and a more austere lifestyle. The elegance and opulence of the past were gradually replaced by a harsher, more combat-oriented reality. The Kamakura period got its name from the city of Kamakura, which served as the country's political center during that time. After the naval battle of Dan no Ura in 1185, Kamakura became the capital of Japan and remained so for the next 150 years. During this time, Japan experienced important political and cultural changes that made the Kamakura period one of the most significant epochs in Japanese history. The legend of Kusunoha tells of a fox spirit woman who saves the life of the samurai Abe no Yasuna and falls in love with him. She takes the form of a woman and marries him. Their son is born, but Kusunoha's true identity is eventually revealed. Forced to reveal her secret, she returns to the world of the yokai, leaving her family behind. It's intriguing to see how the legend of Kusunoha echoed the spirit of the time, adapting to the shifting cultural landscapes of Japan. The tale's bittersweet ending seems to reflect the somber realities of life during the era when samurai ruled Japan. It serves as a reminder that in moments of transition and uncertainty, our connection to nature and the emotions within our hearts can provide both inspiration and solace. The legend of Kusunoha has left a lasting impact on Japanese culture, and you can still see the traces of her story in Izumi today, in the Kusunoha Inari Shrine, which is said to be built on the very spot where Kusunoha made her heartbreaking departure. She is said to have left behind a farewell poem on a silk screen. If you love me, darling, come and see me. You will find me yonder in the great wood of Shinoda of Izumi province, where the leaves of arrowroot always rustle in pensive mood. It inspired numerous painters, including Tosa Mitsuoki and Tsukioka Yoshitoshi, who captured scenes from the legend in their works, as well as no plays and kabuki performances. There is an incredible wealth of Kitsune legends that have sprung up in Japan over the centuries. These stories range from romantic encounters between humans and kitsune to evil deceptions and magical powers. It's amazing how people have used their imaginations to portray the kitsune as powerful and fascinating creatures. Like in one legend, a young man lends his body to a kitsune for a year for the promise of wealth. However, when the year was up, the kitsune refused to return the body, condemning the man to live with the spirit of a kitsune. There are also stories of kitsune seducing people only to later break their hearts, but also of kitsune helping to solve problems and ward off bad luck. There are so many fascinating kitsune stories to tell. Each legend gives us a glimpse into Japanese culture and its imagination. Their influence can even be seen in various temples and shrines throughout the country. One such shrine is the Oji Inari Shrine in Tokyo, which holds an annual Kitsune festival in which worshippers dress up as foxes and celebrate the mythical creatures. They hold paper lanterns, which not only represent foxfires, but also the light of hope and life. The parade is intended to pass on the history and culture of the area to the local children, inspire them, and offers prayers for their health and happiness. It's amazing to see how Japanese culture sees mythology as an integral part of everyday life and art. In contrast, European culture lost many of its own stories due to the Christianization that destroyed pagan legends and customs. I often wonder how Europe would look today if we had preserved our beliefs in paganism, such as Nordic, Germanic, and Greek mythology, alongside Christian beliefs. Although these stories continue to have a significant impact on art and literature, I believe European culture would be even richer and more diverse if we had preserved them as Japan has. It's truly fascinating to see how Japan has managed to maintain its ancient legends and history. As artists, we can draw so much inspiration and beauty from these tales. I would absolutely love to visit Japan myself one day to experience its rich culture firsthand. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this video and feel inspired to create your own kitsune artwork now. I'd love to hear your thoughts about kitsune in the comments section, and if you've ever been to Japan, please feel free to share your experiences as well. See you next time, bye bye!